Welcome back to the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Onativia, online course coaching consultant, and as a course creator, you are an innovator. Just by creating an online program, you're creating something that no one else has ever created before. And innovators take risks and leaps and look forward. And I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I have to catch myself because I'm looking back. However, my goal with this podcast and speaking to you is to help show you what's possible, which is why I wanted to bring Maya Comerota here today. Maya is an incredible entrepreneur who has created multiple 6- and 7-figure companies. She's joined some pretty amazing names on virtual and live stages, including my mentor and client, Bo Eason, my old boss, Tony Robbins, and Dean Graciosi. She's also one of my amazing 6-week accelerator grads. I wanted Maya on to talk about her amazing programs, her masterminds, her events, her courses, and how she sells her programs with such an authentic approach. And beyond that, to show what's possible when you open your mind and your heart as an entrepreneur. Let's listen in. Maya, welcome to the show. I couldn't be more excited to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much, Gina. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to talk about making offers because one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is because you are so authentic and confident when you make offers. And I feel like I have a lot to learn, and I think listeners do too. Why are you so authentic? Why are you so confident?
Oh, I love that question. Thank you. So I believe, with offers, it's really an invitation. It's an invitation for me in the work that I do. It's an invitation to transformation. And so when somebody says yes to an offer with me, they're actually saying yes to themselves. And so that's truly what I believe. And I feel like through my many, many years of experience in transformational coaching and teaching and what have you, what I've seen is a transformation in my students and in the people that I work with. And I feel like it would truly be a disservice to not invite people into that process of allowing themselves to live a life they absolutely love living, fall in love with what they're bringing to the world, their business, their vocation, their own life, whoever that is. And so getting comfortable with making offers really came from, a variety of different things. But one is knowing the results that I am able to provide and knowing, what's on the other side of them saying yes to themselves is a greater life, greater love, greater passion, more aliveness, all of this. And I've seen it in 100% of the people that I've worked with. And so to not offer and to not invite, I know would be a disservice. So those are a couple of the reasons.
You say something that the transformation is in the transaction. Did I get that right? And tell me more about that.
Yeah, so that's another reason. What I recognize is, the transformation for people. I know this with my own experience. And then when I offer programs and invite people into the transformation, that there is a moment, there is a threshold that people need to pass. And it's in the moment of transaction. There's a fear about money. There's a fear about time. There's a fear about what my spouse will say or what my family will say or what my friends will think. And so there's many paradigms that are a threshold to our own transformation that happens in the moment of transaction. And so I believe that that's actually a gift and an opportunity when we offer someone the opportunity for a transaction for their own transformation. So I do say the transformation is in the transaction.
I love that. Yeah. So you really connect those results and that promise to the money, right? So automatically it feels more authentic. I feel like you're coming from a service place. Is that must be what you're feeling, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And recently, it was after one of my high-end program offers that came on the end of my live event. And there was a woman that was really struggling initially in making the investment, but she decided for herself. She chose herself and she made the investment. It was $10,000, a bigger investment than she's ever made in herself. She showed up on the first call. And she showed up, we went into breakout rooms. She was one of the first to share. And she came back, she was like, and she says, Maya, I don't know what happened to me. I'm showing up differently than I've ever showed up. And I don't know why. And I knew why. And I shared with her because she chose herself. She invested in herself. And in that moment of transaction, there was a transformation. And she decided for herself she was going to show up differently. She was going to invest in herself. For many people, this is the biggest investment they've made in themselves.
Sure.
And when you do that, when you choose you, then there's a transformation. There's a threshold that we've passed. And now we show up differently. And now it's a new you that's showing up in the world.
Okay, I love that. I'm wondering, Maya, is there something that you say to yourself before you promote something or you go into a pitch?
Yeah, such a great question. Number one, I really tap into my audience and the people and the life that they are welcoming in, the life and the dream that they are seeking. And so part of, like, if I use some of my methodology, I have people tap into the dream that is seeking to express through them. And so I hold them in that dream, and I know, I care so much. I care so much about their dream. I hold that dream, and I am committing to supporting them to achieve that dream. And so for me, I really tap into what are the dreams and what are the desires of all the people that I'm supporting. And then I really put myself in service to that dream and in service to them, so I can hold the space for navigating the threshold of the transaction, or navigating the thresholds over the next year, however long it is that we're in relationship. But I hold myself in that, and I hold them in that. I hold those dreams. And then I know I care so much. I know the results that I've had. And so I put myself in that space of being in service to their dreams.
That's awesome. And I know, speaking of promotions, you did a successful challenge launch a few months ago. And talking about results, or them seeing results in advance, what did you love about holding a challenge to then, I think you sold your coaching program plus an event. What did you love about the challenge?
Yeah, what I loved about the challenge is a couple things. One is you get to see transformation really quickly. And I love, like, my whole message is about really, understanding human potential and like allowing ourselves to really live into our all the potential that exists within us and all the possibilities. And when you're able to see transformation in an hour, right? 1 hour every day for 5 days, or in my case, in my challenge, it was 3 days. So I had 3 days, which was 3 hours. And in 3 hours, what's possible? And when people can really wrap their mind and their heart around what's possible in those 3 days, they recognize what's possible in 4 weeks, what's possible in a year, what's possible in all of this. And so it's multidimensional. One is what's possible for the people that you're serving, and they get to see result immediately, right? You do
Yeah.
your first day, your first hour, you have one action, they take that action, and then they see transformation by the next day. Next hour, next action, see transformation by the next day. And so one is they're seeing that transformation so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they're developing a community and engaging with other people, and they become a family. Three, I know I mentioned before that the transformation is in the transaction. In this case, you can also show them the transformation that is possible before there is a transaction. And so you can feel really confident. This is something I felt so confident making the offer, making the invitation that I made, because I knew, you guys, what's possible in 3 hours. And now I'm about to share with you and invite you into an opportunity of 40 hours over
Yeah.
4 weeks, 40 hours over 4 weeks. And you just saw what was possible in three, right? If you were to take the step to commit to 40 hours in 4 weeks, right? Which was 4 weeks, 2 hours a week plus a live event. And in the live event, it was 30 some hours because it was 3 days. And so it was just 4 weeks, but 40 hours. And so what is possible if you commit yourself to that 4 weeks? And so I felt, I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs who are listening to this. And,
Yep.
one of the questions you asked me in the beginning was, how do you feel congruent with your offer? And how do you feel authentic? I feel so authentic when I'm able to deliver massive transformation in a short period of time. So it gives me the confidence and conviction to feel authentic and congruent with what I'm about to invite people into.
Yeah, and I think you said the word invitation, and I think that's really important, right? And to your point, you've built this community, and to part of the mission is to continue to guide them, right? They're going to ask you what's next. right? They want to continue this journey with you, and it's a disservice. I think you said that before, right? That if we don't have that invitation ready for them to go, and that could be your course. In your case, it's coaching an event, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And you know what? It reminds me, when you had asked the question about, how I've gotten so congruent with the offer and authentic with that. The other thing, there were times when I didn't offer a follow-up program. And I
Mm.
had so many messages of people who were like, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? And actually I knew, like, some of them struggled afterwards because you had just invited them into this new world and this new transformation. And now they're ready for that, but they no longer have a community around them supporting them. They no longer have an expert that's supporting them along the way. And I it really was heartbreaking for me because I created this safe space for transformation, and they transformed. And then there wasn't a next step.
Right. Then what? Right. There
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh no. So now I'm reaching out and I'm supporting and I'm doing these things because my heart was broken because I wasn't helping them anymore. And they were reaching out, like really desiring the community, really desiring the support. And so I believe when you have that experience of people that you help them transform their lives, and then there isn't that next step and they're seeking it, you feel, I know I do, I feel such a responsibility to support them. And so that was one example that really showed me, because it happened twice. And it showed me you really need to have the next level. Not everyone's going to take it, but for the people who do, that it will be such a gift for them and for you.
Yeah, I love this point because I think so often, sometimes we're concentrating on getting our courses done, but we're not thinking about that next step. And we've got to have that customer path plotted out. And I think you've become an absolute genius about that and just making sure that they can continue the journey with you. And you've built on that success, right? Making sure, okay, they're meeting me here with my coaching, but then there's also a mastermind, there's also events and things like that. Like, how did that kind of come into play with you and reveal itself for you?
Yeah. So for me, I really believe and that as we start a journey, you start a journey of supporting people, and truly like my message came from me. It was,
Yeah.
after a car accident and after realizing, like, if my life were over today, then I haven't really lived yet. And I haven't done what I came here to do. That was very clear.
Wow.
And so then coming to the understanding of, like, well, what am I here to do? And then just distilling that and determining that of, like, if I had just hours to live, what would I want to share with the world? And then that's really the genesis of where my programs came from, was like, if I had 2 hours to live, this is what I would share. Because if I don't share this, then I'm doing myself, my family, my friends, and everybody I serve a disservice. And so it started there. And then as I started serving from there, and I would go through 4 weeks with people or 12 weeks with people, and then they were ready for the next level. And so I'm now understanding, now these are their new needs. And
Right.
so from these new needs, I can help them to this next level.
Yep.
And so it just kept building. And then I really was experimenting with myself, because there's a lot of transformation that's possible in 12 weeks or in 6 months or in a year. But what's possible in 3 days, or what's possible in
Mm.
5 days? What's possible in 3 hours during a 3-day, 3-hour challenge? What's
Sure.
possible in 3 days in 40 hours? Right. And so I really, like, I'm an innovator at heart. And
Definitely.
so, and really to the end of transformation and human potential. So I'm always testing and experimenting with myself, experimenting with what I'm providing and the transformation that's possible, and, like, blowing my mind and heart wide open, and others too. But so that's where it all truly, if I were to sum it up in a sentence, it all truly evolves from the needs of the people that I'm serving.
Right. And you just answering those needs, right? And saying, and that, okay, based on this is what's next, right? And then also you said you challenge yourself, right? So you didn't limit yourself to a certain invitation or offering or service. And you just I love that. And you, one of the wonderful things, there's so many wonderful things about you, Maya, but that is you listen to your audience, and you have an incredible audience that you love to serve. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about courses. And the 6-week accelerator, you are an OG, that you were on the original 6-week class last year. And what made you want to create a digital course? We've talked about a ton of offerings that you have. What is it about courses that kind of caught your eye?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. There were many things that were important to me about courses. Um, One of them is, a lot of my offerings, I have high-end masterminds, I have high-end
Mhm.
mentorship programs. So time with me is at a premium. And
Yeah.
so I wanted something that could be evergreen, that I could continue engaging with people, I could continue serving people, I could continue offering transformation, but I didn't necessarily have to be present, right?
Yes.
I could present live. So I wanted something that could live with me and beyond me and could serve more and more people, because I know that's very much part of who I am, is I'm meant to serve many. And so this really offered the opportunity to serve many people without needing to trade all my time for
Mhm.
that presence.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you're continuing to work with digital courses, and I love that you were part of that original program, because I remember it was this small group of 15 of us just trying to work through and see what we're doing each week, live to live, figuring it out. And I know that that's one of your things. You love to innovate. You love to just try different things on.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things. So, when you ask, there's a couple pieces. One is, why courses, and another was why courses with you. So I'll be really honest, Gina, because, there's many opportunities to build online courses and how to do
Definitely.
it. And
Yes.
and the reality is, like, I'll be really honest and transparent here, because this is going to come up for everyone. Like, timing isn't right. Like, the timing was not awesome for me to sign up for that
I
particular program.
remember. Yes.
Yeah. And but here's the reasons why. One was, I knew the idea of online courses fit in with what I was building long term. So I knew
Mhm.
it fit in with a long term strategy for me. What made me decide to do it in the short term was, one, because it was you. And I'm very, like, this. And, I love to work with the best of the best. I love working with the people who are the best at what they do. I would rather work with the best and have it not be the right time, or have it
Yeah.
then learn some other way, because I actually know that I'm turning decades into days when I'm learning with the right people, right?
Yes.
So that's number one. It was with you. I had a relationship with you. I trusted you. I knew what you were able to deliver for many people. And I'm like, I want to be part of that with Gina. The next part is that it was something that was new to you, that you were creating. And I love to be on the cutting edge of what's being created by the best of the best, because I know that typically it's not ever going to be as intimate, or as, like, the time that you're giving, that, because I do the same thing. When I have a first class of something, I give it my all,
Yeah.
just as I do in each other one. But the amount of time that I invest after hours and during the coaching calls and all of those things, to make sure all the questions are answered, so that I'm building the best online product for future. And so those were a couple other reasons that were really important to me. It was you. I trusted you. I know you. I know what you've created in the past. And two, like, I love to be on the cutting edge and do things as they're being created, because I know the level of love that it takes when you're creating something new, to really make that, especially if it's going to be into an online course or something that you do time and time again. That initial group, like, I always make my first initial group super small, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guys everything. And so I
Yeah.
loved that I was able to be part of that with you specifically.
That's awesome. And I must say the 6 week accelerator continues to be very intimate, and it's a small group, and every group has its own characteristics and its own personality. And that first group will always have a special personality, but everybody brings something different to the table every time. I do it about 2 times a year now. And but you're right, there's something electric about it that I love bringing on. So yeah, so that first group was amazing. Okay, I know we could talk on and on about offers and invites and courses and everything, Maya. I want you to give us one last piece of advice. Like, I know you help women scale their businesses. You are an incredible entrepreneur and an incredible businesswoman. What's one tip you want to leave us with?
Yeah. So I'll give you two. I'll give
Okay,
you
two's
two.
great. Yeah, two. I like it. Do it.
Because I can't choose between the two. But one is tap into the thing that you would really love. Like, tap into how you would love to serve. Because it's not really, there's a life that's breathing each one of us. And when you tap into what you love, you are going to serve, and you are going to serve greatly. And because life is meant to be loved. Like, we're meant to fall in love with our life. I say this all the time. Like, our legacy is meant to be lived, loved, and shared, not just left behind. And
Yes, I love
so,
that.
and then the other thing is, I say fear is the threshold, like turn your fear into fuel. Anything that you're afraid of is just your growing edge of becoming. And especially as an entrepreneur, we're going to always like, it's about creating a new relationship with fear, not becoming fearless. I don't believe that fearless is even possible if you continue to grow, because as you're growing, there's always unknown. So it's just really about developing a new relationship with fear and turning the thing that you're afraid of, turning your fear into fuel to support you and drive you to your next level.
Okay, I love that. And this, okay, legacy is loved, lived, and shared. Is that right?
Yeah, your
Let me
legacy is
see it.
meant to be lived,
Lived,
loved,
loved,
and
and
shared.
shared. Okay. And that's your course legacy. That could easily be you creating a course and then whatever mission goes on from there, right? Okay, amazing. If we want to learn more about you, where do we go, Maya?
Yeah, you can go to mayacomerota.com. You can go to my Facebook page or my Instagram, which is also Maya Comerota. And so you can find me any of those places.
Amazing. We will link to those in the show notes. Thanks so much for being on. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Gina.
The transformation is in the transaction. How much do you love that? To me, it shows that if you focus on the transformation, selling isn't selling. It's inviting your potential student to the next step with you. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Maya. We talked a little bit about the 6-week accelerator, and if you're ready to build your online course, I would love for you to do it with me as part of the 6-week accelerator. Go to coursecreationboutique.com/6weeks, and you'll get a special bonus when you join the waitlist and then enroll. I'll see you next week for more course creation and marketing highlights. Please rate and review this episode. I would love to get the word out about this podcast to others in our course creation community. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.